The New York Rangers are in a very interesting spot right now with this team and this core group of players, as their window to possibly win a Stanley Cup with this core group of guys is currently starting to go away. I mean, you have guys like Trenur and Kreider who are definitely starting to get up there in age a bit there. They're not going to be as good as they are forever. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at three players who I think the Rangers could possibly look to move on from, whether it is at this deadline, trading them away possibly, or waiting until this upcoming offseason to possibly either let specifically one guy walk in free agency or possibly trade away either of these two other guys that we'll talk about in today's video. So these are players who I think the Rangers could possibly look to move on from. I'm not guaranteeing it. I'm not saying they necessarily need to or have to, but some of these players definitely, I think the Rangers could benefit from possibly looking to move on from, maybe getting an asset back or two in return, or maybe trying to look to move one of these players in a kind of bigger deal to possibly bring in a true difference maker for this New York Rangers team. As right now things stand, the Rangers, I would say, are definitely one of the better teams in the entire NHL. You have some of the better chances to possibly win that Stanley Cup, but maybe moving on from one of these three players could help them do so, whether it is to win the Stanley Cup this season or possibly next season into the future as well. So let's get right into it in today's video. Starting off here with the first player of three that we're going to talk about in today's video, the Rangers could possibly look to move on from, and that is Ryan Lindgren. I think he's been a pretty key player for the most part for this New York Rangers defense corps for the last long while. For the most part, he's been on that top pair alongside Adam Fox, who, has won a Norris Trophy alongside Lindgren there. They've been a pretty good defense pair for a long while now, but when you take a look at his contract kind of situation right now and him being an unrestricted free agent this upcoming offseason and him having a $4.5 million cap hit right now as well, and probably looking to potentially get at least maybe a bit of a raise and probably, maybe looking to get a kind of at least medium or long-term deal, I really don't see how Rangers can possibly look to really bring him back on a cap hit of, $4.5 million plus on a long-term or medium-term deal. I just don't see it being possible. With the way things stand right now, I think the Rangers could benefit from possibly just letting him walk. I know that sucks to hear as Rangers fans, and I don't love that either, just seeing a guy like that walk away who I think is a top four caliber defenseman for pretty much nothing. But with that cap savings the Rangers would have, it would allow them to go up there and sign another guy who could bring as much value or maybe even a bit more, maybe a bit less, but something around there at least of what Lindgren can bring on a cheaper cap hit in free agency. Or the Rangers could possibly look to acquire a defenseman via a trade to help kind of fill that gap that obviously Ryan Lindgren would leave when he does more than likely sign with another team this upcoming offseason in free agency. And I do think Ryan Lindgren is a good defenseman. I think he's a top four caliber guy at moments for sure, and he is someone who is that heart and soul kind of guy. He's going to give it 110% out there on the ice. He's going to be a good teammate, it seems like, a good guy, and he really does give it everything he's got pretty much every time he's out there. He's always getting cut, bruised, whatever it is, because he's blocking shots. He's battling in the dirty areas there, out from the net, in the corners. He's scrapping with guys. I mean, he's not afraid of much there. He's a very tough player, and he is one of those guys you want to have on your team because he'll block everything. He'll hit. He'll fight a bit. He'll stick up for teammates. He does all that kind of dirty stuff that not a lot of players want to do, but he definitely does have some negatives to his game, though, and at moments he can be a bit of a not great player for this Rangers team. I mean, I don't think he's a liability necessarily, but offensively, he doesn't bring a whole lot. The odd moment here and there, he'll have a nice goal or a nice pass, for example, but for the most part there, he's not going to bring really anything offensively at all. And then you also take a look at his puck-moving ability, which has been shown to be a pretty big negative for the most part with this Rangers team. I mean, obviously, at the start of the season there without him, this team looked pretty good there. Since he's come back, they haven't looked as good, and that's not all on him, but it says a little something there about his game. I mean, I don't know if he's the exact best fit for this New York Rangers team, and I know a lot of Rangers fans at moments have kind of thought that maybe he's holding Adam Fox back a bit. So I think moving on from Lindgren there, I like him as a player for sure, but I don't know if he's quite worth it and is the right fit for this New York Rangers team to be, on that top pair or in that top four while making, over $4.5 million on a fairly long-term deal possibly. So overall, I think he's a good player. I wouldn't hate to see him back on this team, but as of right now, I just don't see how it's going to possibly happen with the New York Rangers' current cap situation. So I do think he will leave in free agency for nothing, which does suck, but I still wish him the best once he does leave this team. And he's still on this team right now. I don't see him being traded away. I think he's going to finish the season with the team, move on after that, but hopefully he can help us win a Stanley Cup this season. And next up here, we've got KeAndre Miller. And I think this is a very interesting player because he is still quite young. I think he does have a pretty high ceiling there. He's got that massive size. He is a talented player, but the inconsistencies in his game are just really big and can definitely have a pretty negative impact on this New York Rangers team at moments, especially in the defensive zone. And, so far this season as well, we have not seen him really take that step up or even kind of stay the same offensively as what we've seen in the past as well from him. So it may be time to move on, and maybe we don't. And now, obviously, there is a decent chance that he does come back with this team for the 2025-2026 season as well, because he will become a restricted free agent this upcoming offseason. So the Rangers will have him under control at least, so they don't have to worry about him kind of walking away in unrestricted free agency like a guy like Ryan Lindgren will more likely do. KeAndre Miller is an RFA, so you either trade him away or you re-sign him. You don't have to worry about him walking away for nothing, which is quite nice, because I do think KeAndre, may not be at his peak value right now and may not be this upcoming offseason, but he's still going to have a decent amount of value there. And I think there definitely would be quite a few teams that imagine around the league looking to possibly, buy a bit lower possibly. I'm not saying we're going to be trading him away for like a third round pick and that's it, but maybe a bit lower kind of value for kind of what his potential really says. Because I do think KeAndre does have, at least kind of top 4 caliber potential consistent. I think right now you can definitely say he is a top 4 caliber guy, but it's just the inconsistencies in his game that I think are the biggest issue. I mean, sure, at moments he makes some great defensive plays because he is so tall. He's quick out there on the ice. He's a good skater for his size. He's got that long stick, so he can easily make those poke checks and stick checks. But the inconsistencies with his game there, being a little too soft at moments, getting pushed off the puck or being shielded away, especially for a guy of his size, isn't ideal. And defensively, he definitely does have those lapses. So I think overall, he's a solid player. He is a talented player, very talented, has the talent to be a true kind of top 4 caliber guy and a great one at that. But it's the inconsistencies in his game that I just don't love. So maybe we do see him traded away. And I'm not saying I necessarily kind of need to see it happen, otherwise we're not winning a cup. But I do think that trading him away, possibly in a bigger deal for a star, or just kind of to maybe to get a different defenseman back or a different forward back and find a defenseman to replace him in some other way. I mean, there are a lot of scenarios where we could see him traded away for whatever it is, and maybe it's just for picks to open up more cap space to go out there and sign someone. I mean, we'll have to wait and see truly, but I think moving on from KeAndre would not be the worst idea in the world, and him being an RFA definitely allows the Rangers to, they don't have to just trade him at the deadline here. Otherwise, he's going to walk away in free agency for nothing. They have the opportunity to wait until this upcoming offseason and try and find the right trade if they want to really, try and bolster this team up, or possibly they could look to move him at the deadline there to really kind of bolster this squad for this upcoming playoff run, which I would not be against either. And now the third player we're going to talk about in today's video is Jacob Trouba, who will be entering the final season of his massive contract, making $8 million per season next one. So in 2025, 2026, that will be his final year under contract with an $8 million cap hit. As of right now, he's playing like a bottom pairing defenseman, I would say. Is he as bad as last season? No, but he's still not great. He's still worth nowhere near $8 million per season, especially with the cap is right now, and it healthy not going up a ton over the last while. He's not worth anywhere close to $8 million. So it's unfortunate that the Rangers have been stuck with this contract, obviously. I mean, it does suck. It's hurt this team a lot. And imagine what we could have done over the last 3-4 years with an extra $8 million to spend on anything. I mean, anything at all would be, for the most part, better. I mean, you have $8 million to go out there in free agency, whether it's, last free agency or the one before that, whatever it is. You could do a lot with $8 million. So it does suck having that massive deal under contract with this team, but it thankfully is almost near the end of it. So we definitely could see a move happen. I mean, there have been reports stating that quite a few teams, upwards of like 20 teams, have possibly shown a bit of interest in trading for Trouba. So, I mean, that's interesting there. That report was from Darren Dreger of TSN. So I think it's interesting there. Do we actually see him traded away at the deadline? No, I don't think it'll happen at the deadline there. I can't see that happening. I think it'd be a little crazy to see the captain there with everything that's going on and Trouba and all his kind of personal situation as well, him being traded away and obviously the no trade clause and all that kind of stuff there. I just don't see it happening at this deadline, but I do think it becomes a lot more possible to happen this upcoming offseason, and I do think there is a decent chance we do see it happen. I think for both sides, Trouba and the Rangers, it could work out quite well. Not going to dive into his personal life and the reasons and kind of why he's maybe kind of declined trades, stuff like that. Not going to dive too much into that, obviously, but I do think that the Trouba situation does kind of open up a bit more for a trade this upcoming offseason, I do think we should definitely look to make it happen. I mean, $8 million extra to spend, and even if we did have to retain half that and we still had an extra $4 million on the cap, Trouba was gone though, so it opens up an extra $4 million. That would not be bad at all. I mean, in free agency, you can definitely find a player or even a defenseman, a right-handed defenseman, for $4 million or less to bring as much or more than what Trouba does. I mean, that's just a fact there. You could definitely find a replacement for Trouba for cheaper, even if we have to retain 50% on that contract. So I think you have to look to get rid of him. You definitely have to. Like I said, he hasn't been as bad as last season, but he's still not great. And I truly do think moving on from Jacob Trouba could really help this team possibly win a Stanley Cup with the cap space that they'd be able to open up, adding in a different player in that spot and possibly just kind of getting a bit of a change in the locker room as well, getting rid of the captain. Maybe could change things up a bit, spice this team up there, and really push this team forward to hopefully end up getting the ultimate end goal of winning a Stanley Cup. Anyways, that's going to do it for today's video, and I truly do want to thank all of you for all the support you all show on these videos, whether it's clicking that subscribe button, clicking that like button, commenting your thoughts down below, and definitely do that once again on this video because I love hearing your thoughts and opinions. I love replying to you guys, talking about the Rangers here. It's a lot of fun to do, and I've just been a big hockey fan my entire life. Love talking hockey, and I'm so glad that there's so many of you out there that enjoy hearing these videos about the Rangers, talking hockey, talking Rangers with me as well. So I appreciate all the support you all show. Definitely comment, like, subscribe. It helps the channel a ton. It's free to do. And let's go Rangers. Hopefully we can truly see that Stanley Cup win for the first time, which would be in my lifetime, and I'm sure for many of you Rangers fans out there as well. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next one. See ya.